Remember Steve Martin's arrow through the head and totally unfunny comedy act of the 1970s? He was the wild and crazy kind of guy who was amusing to mock but not in the least bit attractive to women. Since then there have been a lot of stand-up acts and comedians who have used the funny guy approach to making audiences laugh, but none of them ever get the girl. That tells you that if you do want to be a humorous guy and get lucky, you have to hone your humor. Skip all the stupid jokes and repeated stand-up routines when you are trying to woo the ladies or make friends, because these are not what most of us actually laugh at. Just try to remember there's a difference between being a funny person and being a stand-up comedian. For the most part, a stand-up comedian is not what you'd call approachable. In fact, we might shy away from one of them because they all have the tendency to use whatever is in front of them to get a laugh. Come on, you've seen the guys and ladies who will make fun of people in your social group because they know it will get a laugh. Does that make you hot for them? No, of course not. And that is why you want to skip the humor that reminds you of anything a stand-up professional might do. This sort of funny guy is one who forces himself on his unwilling audience. He is not usually respected by his social circle and rarely ever gets the girl. The humor you want to develop is a natural, laid-back, and intelligent variety that allows you to be wildly attracted to the women around you. When you are witty, but not at anyone's expense, it usually translates instantly to desirable and sexy. First steps. The very first thing you need to do is identify your humor style. Are you a David Letterman sort of guy who has a lot of funny comebacks and who is familiar with all of our modern pop and political culture? Maybe you're more of a Jerry Seinfeld and see the humor in just about every single part of modern life, from ironing clothes to eating soup. Whatever style seems like a good fit for your personality and social circle, make a point of understanding it and being able to describe it. For example, you could say that your style of humor is like Jimmy Fallon. You are a bit on the silly side, but you are also self-deprecating and a bit humble. Get your style down to a 10 to 20 word description and then start considering how you would filter everything coming into you from the outside world. The view from here. How do you see or interpret stuff? What is funny about the world? The coolest comedians are the ones who can take almost anything from their lives and make it amusing. From a speeding ticket to a bad breakup, these people can really spin the tale into a good and laughable moment. Take your style of humor and try to tell a story from your life in a way that is funny and not too much of a long story. It helps if you just don't take yourself all that seriously. Many successful comedians will say that you cannot have pride if you are going to be funny. And this is something to take to heart. Laughing at yourself is great for honing your sense of humor. Don't want to share your life's worst moments? Then take stuff from the headlines. If you've ever watched The Colbert Report or 5 Minutes of Jon Stewart's Daily Show, you know that the news can be funny stuff. You can't report to people, but look at the ways that these shows comment on the news, and practice this mildly sarcastic viewpoint too. You can be extremely funny when you have references that your friends will understand, or when you use subject matter that is familiar to everyone listening. I've been to Canada, and I have always gotten the impression that I could take the country over in about 2 days. Brainy quote. This is a good example of having applied a style to humor and to use a sort of contemporary subject that most people will understand. However, it also tells us that you have to know your audience to avoid offending anyone or telling a joke that is irrelevant, that you have to have a pool of jokes available, and that you have to work on timing your jokes. Essentially, there is a time and a place for everything. And when you have a good repository of material in your head, you can toss out a good zinger, comeback, or joke at just the right time. Every single time. The joke pool. Most people laugh to feel better than others. These are the most unpleasant types of jokes. Or because the comment or punchline was unexpected, and just to escape any sense of anxiety. What you need to do is identify which of the reasons for laughter that would work with your style of humor, and then start finding good jokes and comments that fit into it. You can search for examples of people you find funny using the internet, and there is an endless number of websites with lots of one-liners available. Study them, but not too much, because you do want to be original and witty. When you make a habit of searching for humor in everything, it will steer you towards comedians and subjects that fit into your style. Just don't try doing imitations, however mild or subtle, because most people recognize artificial humor as much as they do artificial body language. Rehashing humor is not honing your own humor, so skip any imitations, impersonations, etc. Bring it to life. When you are clear about your style and have started to gather jokes and subjects, you can use this little list to bring it all to life. Don't use mockery or jokes at the expense of others. This is usually not all that entertaining and not likely to win friends or hearts. Research and read to discover how to put a good twist to even an everyday event or issue. A lot of modern comedians have hilarious books out, including Tina Fey, Woody Allen, and so many more. Think of humor as a part of socialization. When you use it at the right time and with the right people, it can bring everyone together, break the ice, and alleviate tension. Listen, observe, and comment. The people who are the most amusing are the ones who have clearly taken in a lot from simple observation and very thoughtful listening. Stop if it is too difficult. True humor seems natural and instinctive. You need to be relaxed in order to find humor in stuff, and trying to force a joke into conversation with someone doesn't ever work. Know the type of energy to use. Have you ever heard of Stephen Wright? He did what many call a deadpan routine. He looked and sounded exhausted, and his humor was observational and ironic. It was the perfect mix. Think of Woody Allen's frantic energy. Consider Louis C.K. and his totally calm demeanor as he discusses his life. They all nailed the right energy to use to create humor. Don't laugh too much when saying funny things. Instead, just wear a bit of a smile or a grin, and this will help you express the humor without overdoing it. Be quick if you can. Whether it is blunt humor or just fast wit, if you can respond quickly, it usually catches people off guard, and this tends to enhance their appreciation of the humor. And remember that it is called a sense of humor. When someone is trying to be funny, it is unnatural and artificial. It is not funny. When they are natural and their humor has been honed and fine-tuned to match their personality, it is almost like they have a sixth sense, the funny bone. In conclusion, use these tips for honing your humor, and soon you'll have friends in stitches and ladies looking at you in a new light. You will also enjoy the perks of being a more positive person simply because you're viewing the world through your own lens of laughter.